It makes me sick that every time you stand up, you pledge allegiance to our beautiful flag. Your allegiance is to China. Everybody knows it. The only joy I have tonight is knowing that you guys are going to be our recall because you're dishonest and you're corrupt. So enjoy your time here because it's short. Your corruption stinks.
That's spicy. I love it how people are showing up and letting their voices be heard. Now, who is this guy, though? What's he mad about? Joining me now, Kyle Olson, founder of the Midwesterner. Kyle, I love that. That kind of thing makes me stand up and cheer. But what's got that guy so salty?
Well, what's happening is Gretchen Whitmer and the state of Michigan have promised $715 million in cash and tax incentives to this CCP directly linked battery plant to come into rural Michigan. And what's been happening is these residents are saying, we don't want this in our township of roughly 1,500 people. And yet it's the township leadership, the supervisor, the board, the state of Michigan, various economic development groups are saying, no, we don't care about what you local Rube residents want. We're going to do this anyway. And so what we're seeing is at these township meetings, people are coming out during the public comment period and they're getting angrier and angrier because the leadership will not listen.
Okay, now I hate to even ask this question because I'm worried about the answer, but is there a chance there can be so much anger, such a groundswell of support against this? That's probably not the way to word that, but is there a chance these citizens can stop this, or have they just been sold down the river, as you just alluded to, by all the people in power, and they're screwed?
Well, what they're doing is there's a couple sort of technical things that they can do. They can pursue a referendum, which would undo some of what the board has done. They're also pursuing a recall. They actually want to recall the entire board, the township supervisor and the treasurer and the clerk and the entire board. And so there then would, if they get new leadership, then there's some things that they could undo. And so they're optimistic that they can stop this and they can undo it, and it appears that they can.
Okay, the right, the national GOP, such as it is, or any national right-wing organization of any kind, is there anybody getting behind this effort? Is there PAC money? Is there some grounds? Are these people getting help is what I want to know.
Yeah, I think they are getting help. And again, it's a township of 1,500 people, and there is a group of 50 to 75 people that are highly motivated, highly engaged. They're the ones out going door to door. So, I mean, it's literally farm to farm in some situations, collecting signatures, raising money, holding rallies, raising awareness, and they are going to stop this. And so, and what is so interesting, and I know that you talk a lot about communism and the impact of communism, and what people don't realize is that by bringing a CCP-linked company, direct link, into rural Michigan and selling them 1 square mile in the state of Michigan, which is in the middle of America, which is in the middle of North America. Just think what the CCP could do to America by having 1 square mile that is not observed by any sort of police or anything. Think what they could do to our country. And it's unfortunate that Gretchen Whitmer and these township leaders and economic leaders are just so hell-bent on forcing this to happen.
Is this just about money, Kyle? And I guess you have to go with your opinion on this one because no one's going to see documentation, at least not for quite some time. Do you think this is just simply about people getting paid?
I think it's about that. I think it also is about Gretchen Whitmer, and she has been caught off guard by having some of the big auto plants or auto companies leaving the state, and she has basically said, I want wins. I don't care what I have to compromise to get them. I don't have to care how much I have to spend in taxpayer money to get them. And so it doesn't seem to me, in a lot of the criticism and the interviews that she's done and those sorts of things, it doesn't seem to me like she is fazed at all about what the CCP could do to national security by having a foothold in the middle of the state of Michigan. She wants press releases and she wants talking points so she can potentially run for president.
potentially run for president. Now, I had heard rumors before. I just assumed it was either going to be Joe Mumbles or they were going to push Joe out the door. That's my theory, and it was going to be Gavin Newsom. You think Gretchen Whitmer has her eyes on 2024?
There's no doubt about that. And what you see, if you sort of read the tea leaves between Whitmer and Newsom, they very much are competing to be able to replace Joe Biden. I mean, just last week, there was a Vanity Fair wrote this just slobbering profile of Gretchen Whitmer about why she would make a great president. And so they clearly are positioning her to be able to run. And so I don't think there's any doubt she is waiting for Joe Biden to be, wheeled off the stage or be, not able to run for president, so then she can step right in. Because don't forget, when he was looking at who his running mate would be, he wanted Gretchen Whitmer, believe it or not. And she flew out to Delaware twice to meet with him. And then he came out and said he was going to pick a black woman, which then, of course, made Gretchen Whitmer ineligible. And so then he went with Kamala. But she has got her sights on national office. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, boy. All right, we don't have time to deal with this anymore. I want to talk about these farm workers, these illegal farm workers in Michigan, and why this matters nationally. What's going on?
So basically, this is where I think the left and the right do elections differently. A lot of people on the right, they say we have to do TV ads and we have to do messaging. Where people on the left, the organizations on the left, they say we have to do community organizing, which I think a lot of people on the right have sort of snickered at, and we have to do ballot chasing. And so what the left has done is they have put tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into lots of different organizations across the states, the battleground states, and across the country to try to win these elections. And so there's an organization called We the People Action and We the People Michigan. And they had about $10 million to play with, and they were organizing the families of illegal aliens, and the organization was advocating for illegal aliens to get driver's licenses in the state of Michigan. And they worked to flip the state house. They bragged about this on various websites. Flip the state house so then their members that they are advocating for can then get driver's licenses in the state of Michigan. And these are the sorts of things that don't get attention. And of course, I think a lot of people on the right, when you hear We the People, we think a constitutional group. But this is a group that wants to fundamentally change the way that America and Michigan operates. And they get very little scrutiny, and they're doing it under the radar because so much of the money is not reported. And it's hard to tell what they're really doing unless they brag about it.
So we think there's a chance, I don't want to say there is, but we think there's a chance illegal immigrants are voting in the state of Michigan and flip the state house and may win the national election for Democrats?
I'm not saying that illegal aliens voted. I don't have any evidence of that. But what I'm saying is that they are organizing and they are being used as get out the vote troops, if you will, to get people out to vote, to organize, to identify people who can vote and are getting them to vote. That is happening. Oh, and it's happening not just in Michigan, but it's happening across the country. And so the right has got to wake up to the reality of what is happening in elections, and they've got to change their ways. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to lose elections.
Back on they are. Kyle, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Are you tired of watching your beloved nation fall prey to the insidious grip of communism? The Anti-Communist Manifesto by Jesse Kelly is the ultimate guide to fighting back against this destructive force. Discover the shocking truth about communism infiltrating our education system, corporations, and even environmental movements. Unmask the true agenda behind groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and learn how to protect the United States from the most malicious enemy. With extensive documentation of past atrocities, you'll see the undeniable danger posed by this ideology. Arm yourself with knowledge and join the fight to preserve the American way of life. The Anti-Communist Manifesto, a new must-read book from Jesse Kelly. Get your copy today at jessekellybook.com or wherever books are sold.